the one mistake that destroyed an empire. They ruled half the known world. Their banners meant order or annihilation. Their enemies feared them. Their allies depended on them. And yet it didn't end with a great defeat. It ended with a single decision, not foolish, not impulsive, just slightly wrong. This is the story of how an empire destroyed itself by ignoring a rule that history never forgives. At the height of its power, this empire had everything. The strongest army on earth, veteran commanders, unmatched confidence. They had won so often that victory felt inevitable. And that was the danger, because success changes how humans think. After repeated victories, the mind stops asking, "Should we?" and starts assuming, "We can." That shift from caution to certainty is where empires begin to die. The ruler believed speed was power. That overwhelming force meant safety. And that fear would do the rest. So he made a single strategic choice: advance deep, finish it fast, force submission. On paper, it was flawless. The enemy would collapse, resources would be seized, the campaign would end in glory. But strategy does not exist on paper. It exists in terrain, in weather, in morale, in human limits. And those were ignored. As the army marched forward, something strange happened. There was no decisive battle. The enemy retreated again and again. Cities were abandoned. Supplies were destroyed. Nothing was left to take. What looked like weakness was psychological warfare. The invading army wasn't being fought, it was being starved. This was the moment the fatal mistake locked in. The ruler had a choice: pull back early, accept an incomplete victory, preserve the army, or push forward. Trust reputation, momentum, and fear, and believe the enemy would break first. Human psychology hates retreat. Retreat feels like failure, like weakness, like loss, especially to a leader who built an empire on dominance. So he advanced. With every mile forward, the army weakened. Supply lines stretched thinner. Horses died. Men grew hungry. Discipline began to crack, but pride kept them moving. Because turning back would mean admitting that power had limits, and empires rarely admit that until reality forces them to. Then winter arrived, not as a surprise, not as a myth, but as an ignored certainty. Cold does not negotiate. Hunger does not care about rank. Exhaustion does not fear legends. The army that once conquered nations was now fighting the environment, and the environment was winning. When the order finally came to retreat, it was too late. What had marched in as a unified force left as fragments. Not because the enemy destroyed them, but because going too far made survival impossible. The empire survived on maps for a while, but its invincibility was gone. And once that illusion died, everything else followed. Here is the truth. History keeps repeating. Empires do not fall at their weakest moment. They fall at their most confident. The mistake was not invasion. It was not ambition. It was not even arrogance. The mistake was ignoring limits, strategic limits, human limits, environmental limits, the belief that past success guarantees future control. And this lesson is not just about empires. It is about leaders, businesses, careers, relationships, about knowing when to advance and when to stop. Because the most dangerous thought is not, "We might fail," it is this: "We have never failed before." That single thought has destroyed more empires than any enemy ever did.